I had always been curious about apartment 9B, the unit at the end of my dimly lit corridor that everyone whispered about but no one ever entered. Every time I walked past its faded, peeling door, I felt an inexplicable chill crawl down my spine, and my mind would race with questions. Who lived there? Why did the light always flicker at night, even when the apartment seemed empty? What made the neighbors avoid it like it was cursed? Those questions gnawed at me for months, until one rainy evening, when the hallway lights cut out entirely and I heard a faint, almost pleading whisper from behind that door. I knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. It started innocuously. An old friend had mentioned hearing footsteps in 9B long after the previous tenants had moved out. I laughed it off, thinking it was some tired old building creaking, until I began noticing subtle oddities. Packages that weren't mine appearing on the hallway floor, strange scratches on the door that seemed fresh every day, and a smell that wafted out whenever someone walked past it, a sickly sweet scent, like burnt sugar mixed with iron. One night, I swore I saw a figure staring at me through the peephole, but when I pressed my face to it, it was empty, dark, and still, except for the faint echo of a breath, heavy and deliberate. Questions kept multiplying. How could an empty apartment feel alive? Why did the doorknob occasionally turn on its own, just enough for me to notice? And most unnervingly, why did the city maintenance never step foot inside to inspect it? The answers, I realized, weren't going to come from anyone else. I had to see inside for myself. I remember the night I finally made my decision. It was late, around 1:30 a.m., the rain hammering against the building windows like a warning drum. I crept down the corridor with a flashlight and my heart pounding so hard I thought it would echo in the walls. As I reached 9B, I noticed the door was slightly ajar, something I had never seen before. My first thought was someone inside? My second was, do I even want to know? I pushed it open slowly, the hinges groaning like a scream in the silent hallway. The air inside was thick, heavy, and smelled of decay under the sweet iron scent I had noticed before. The faint beam of my flashlight revealed a living room frozen in time, old furniture covered in dust sheets, newspapers scattered across the floor, and the remnants of a life abruptly abandoned. But then my light caught something that made my stomach knot. The walls were lined with photographs. Hundreds of them. They were all of me. Not taken recently, I realized with horror, but photos from every day of my life since childhood. School plays, family dinners, birthdays, moments no one but I remembered. Every expression, every smile, every tear. They stared at me as if accusing, each image whispering a question I couldn't answer. Why are you here? How did I know so much about you? Panic surged, and I stumbled backward, my flashlight swinging wildly. That's when I heard it, a soft, scratching sound from the bedroom down the hall. My mind screamed to leave, but some morbid curiosity anchored me in place. With a trembling hand, I pushed the bedroom door open, and the sight inside made me choke on my own breath. A mirror, cracked and dusty, reflecting not me, but a shadowy figure standing just behind my reflection. Its face was obscured, twisted in an expression that was almost human, almost familiar, yet entirely wrong. The figure raised a hand. Not toward me, toward the wall. And then I saw it. The wall was shifting, folding, revealing a hidden door behind the wallpaper. My mind screamed with questions. What is this place? Who made it? What happens if I open it? My fear fought against my curiosity, and the latter won. Inside was a small, dimly lit room filled with journals, old newspaper clippings, and more photographs. The journals were written in a shaky, spidery handwriting, and the first sentence I could make out sent a chill racing down my spine. They are always watching. They know everything. Flipping through, I realized this was no ordinary obsession. The previous occupant of 9B had been collecting lives. My life. Everyone in this building seemed to have their own chapter, meticulously recorded, monitored, and stored. But why? Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. My flashlight flickered, then died, plunging me into darkness. Panic gripped me, and I fumbled for my phone. Dead. A whisper echoed from the corners of the room. You should have stayed curious from afar. The shadows moved, coalescing into forms I couldn't fully comprehend. Faces of the people I knew, distorted, their mouths stretched in silent screams, their eyes hollow. I realized, they weren't ghosts. They were reminders. Trapped, somehow bound to the apartment, and now, I was part of the collection. I ran, blindly, crashing into furniture, feeling the walls close in, the whispers turning to screams, chanting my name. And then, as suddenly as it began, silence. I was back in the hallway, soaked from the rain, heart hammering, staring at the door of 9B, now perfectly closed, as if nothing had happened. I questioned my sanity, but when I looked down, my hands shook as I saw a photograph on the floor, a snapshot of me, taken tonight, standing in the hidden room, frozen in terror. I knew then, apartment 9B wasn't haunted in the way people thought. It wasn't empty. It wasn't even alive. It was hungry. And it wanted to remember, to own, to trap anyone curious enough to peek behind its doors. The twist came days later. I returned with someone else, trying to prove I had imagined it, but the apartment was different. Empty, quiet, the hidden room gone. Even the photograph had disappeared. My friends saw nothing unusual, yet I knew better. That night, in my apartment, I found another photograph slipped under my door. This time, it wasn't of me alone. It showed my friend standing beside me, in the hidden room, eyes wide with terror. I never told anyone. Some questions, I realized, aren't meant to be answered. And some doors, aren't meant to be opened. Now, every time I hear the faint hum of my hallway lights flickering, I wonder, is it apartment 9B calling me back, or am I simply already part of it?